everyone. Welcome to my presentation for DynamicsCon. I want to thank DynamicsCon for inviting me to speak today. We are going to be talking about Dynamics GP compared to Dynamics BC. It's a subject that I thoroughly enjoy discussing. And as we're going through the presentation today, I will be with you live on the day to answer any questions. So feel free to chat out the questions as they come to you or jot them down so we can make sure we cover all questions by the end of the presentation time today. All right, so let's get started. Again, Dynamics GP versus Dynamics BC, one of my favorite topics to discuss. I'm Jo deRuiter. I'm the ERP practice manager at Aisling Dynamics. So let's just jump right in. One, general questions. This is kind of a hot topic right now in the Microsoft world. What's the differences? Should I be moving? That sort of thing. So we're going to cover some basic differences in licensing first. So I'm going to try to cover all of the questions that you have and be as thorough as possible. So GP, first off, licensing, GP is concurrent users. So you might buy a pack of 5 users, but you could have hundreds of people in and out of GP, but you can only use those 5 licenses. That's great methodology, but BC is very different in that it's named users. It's tied into your Microsoft licensing. The assigning of BC licenses happens in the Microsoft Admin Center, and no 2 people can share a license. So with that said, GP licenses for one is $3,500 flat fee, and then yearly you're paying that renewal on it at like 18% of the original price. BC licenses are paid monthly, generally speaking. It depends on how your partner works. But generally speaking, you're paying $70 a month per named user. So that's the first thing. Now, there are some light users for BC. There are some for GP as well, but you might pay the $70 for one user, but you can also get free licenses for BC for people going in and entering requisitions or timesheets and that sort of thing. Now, manufacturing and field service in GP are very expensive. They're $10,000 products. You can get the same, if not better, functionality in BC for an additional $30 per user per month. Okay, so let's move on. App capabilities. Let's be clear, because there's some misinformation out there. BC is not a new product. It is based on Navision. So BC is a fully functioning product. It does work a lot differently than GP, and we're going to get into it and look at it in a second, so don't worry about that. Is it an upgrade from GP? No, it has nothing at all to do with GP. It's a brand new piece of software, new to you, that is. So it's a full implementation. There needs to be discovery. There needs to be planning, migration of data, just like you're buying a new piece of software. So it's not as easy as an upgrade. The next question I get a lot is it right for my organization? The answer to that is maybe, and it depends. So one, is GP just not working for you anymore? Maybe it's because you want an application that's more geared towards the cloud and operating from the cloud perspective. You can get BC on-premise as well. Could it be that you just want to keep up to date, but you need to make sure you have it in your budget for a full implementation? It's like any other ERP system is going to have to be configured to work for your organization. So a discovery is also in the works for doing that sort of thing. Let's define users. I said it's $3,500 for GP licenses. It's $70 for BC licenses. For our purposes today, a user is someone who gets in is transacting or has to get into BC to configure reports or anything like that. That could be somebody administering the application, could be your partner, but you want to make sure you buy enough licenses that everybody in the organization can get to that. Now, reporting is dynamic. So you can actually publish reports from your BC with Power BI and some other applications. So reporting is like a completely different conversation, but we will see some of it today. So let's look at the differences in logging in. One, Business Central, you simply can click a saved link in your Chrome or Internet Explorer or whatever you have it loaded onto. You can get to it from any Chrome. It's going to use your Microsoft licensing, the same as you log into Outlook on your phone with. It's going to read all of that and allow you to change companies within the application. GP, on the other hand, is loaded directly on your computer or on a shared terminal server and is clicked on like any other program. Now, you have to be on a program that has GP loaded. It has to be on your network and that sort of thing. So there are significant differences in how to get to the product. One, BC, and as long as it's not on premise, is completely cloud. So I can get to it on a phone, I can get to it on a tablet. As long as I know my Microsoft ID and password, I can get to it anywhere. And like I said, I wanted to show you what it looks like on a phone. So this is what it looks like on your phone. And you can even see your reports on your phone. It's really super cool. And I love the product, but I'm also a diehard GP fanatic. So I'm really torn when it comes to this sort of thing. So let's do the good, the bad about logging in. Good about BC, you can log in from anywhere. That also happens to be what's bad about BC. You can't get away from work, right? GP is more secure. It feels more secure because it's on your network. You're logging into it like you're used to with a regular program on your computer. You can have a bunch of different windows open, that sort of thing. Whereas in BC, in one internet tab, you can have one window open, but that doesn't mean you can't open more windows on other internet tabs. So there's some workaround there. I happen to like the workarounds though. So what does the home screen look like? You're looking at GP and BC side by side here. In GP, let's talk about navigation. You get around the product by clicking here, clicking there, going to the area page that you want to work in, or using the drop downs. It's a typical on-premise software that you're kind of used to. In BC, navigation's done with both drop downs and clickable links and the search functionality that we're going to look at in a little bit. I like using the search functionality because if you're looking for something and you don't know where it is, you simply type it out, and we'll see this in a second. So this is what the search functionality looks like. I'm looking for anything to do with purchasing, and I can simply click on the link that I want to click on. Again, I can search for anything and go between windows just that quickly. And you'll see where it says show all 47, show all 36. It's very well built out, I think, as far as search functionality goes. Let's talk about changing companies. In GP, you have to go down to the little company icon or use the drop down and hit change companies. In BC, it's somewhat similar. We'll start this going. I want to change companies, so I'm going to go to My Settings. Get used to the My Settings tab because we use that for a lot of stuff. But as you can see here, you're simply going to click the other company, hit OK, and move on. Now, I didn't show you that company because that's my live company, but that's how you change companies in BC. It's very simple. Let's talk about payables transactions. You're going to hear some people saying you don't really do payables transactions in BC. In GP, you go to transaction entry, enter your payables based on the GL. What you're seeing now is help. So let's talk about the help functionality a little bit. I see a field here that I'm not certain of, DOT type. You can actually, and this is where it's really built out well, any field you can hover over and get a link to tell you exactly what that field is. Now, the other thing about personalizing and payables transactions and any transaction really is I can add or remove fields from BC at the click of a button by going to personalize. I wanted to remove that field. I simply removed it. And this is on a user by user basis for the most part. You can also do fewer options, control the lines you're looking at. And what we're looking at now are the types of entries you can do on a payables transaction. Now, they're called purchasing invoices in BC, but if you choose GL, you're going to be able to enter a GL account and a description as opposed to a saved item. Just like in GP, items can be both inventory and non-inventory. And if you enter something wrong, it will show you that you entered it wrong, allow you to click a link to fix your errors, and then go on with your day. And again, like you can do comments, you can add fixed assets at the drop down, you can add items, you can add a charge on an item. So it's all really cool. And then you simply post the invoice. So payables invoices, you're going to hear that you can't do them in BC, but you can. It just looks a little bit differently. And you can still do your purchasing invoices, but they're all on the same screen in BC. Other navigation. So I like this subject. Let's take a quick look at both GP and BC because you can add shortcuts in both. So let's take a look at both. One, adding shortcuts in GP. Now, most of you know this, but you can add shortcuts in a number of places in GP. You can move windows around. You can organize your home page any way you want. Most shortcuts exist on the home page, but we're actually going to see where we can set them up. And all of the shortcuts use kind of the same screen. So I'm showing you that there. You can set them up on your home page here. As you can see in my quick links there, I added sales batches. You can add shortcuts to your upper navigation area. That's where I prefer my GP shortcuts because I can get to them from any area page. BC is a little bit different. And of course, you can also add shortcuts over in the navigation list in GP on the home screen. In BC, your shortcuts are controlled a lot by where you want the shortcut. So let's look up here. You see all my options out of the box up here. If I want to quickly change my shortcut listings, I'm going to change my role in BC. Choose a role that I want to work through. And all of a sudden, you'll see all of my options are changing to what that role signifies. And you can customize these roles. Now, it's going to give you other information about what you can and can't do. It's really well built out that way. But, and I can get to my drop downs, same as GP. That's where most of my functionality lives, in those drop downs. So it really depends on how you prefer to work. And again, you can use the search functionality. But I also want to show you that on any role, I can actually add functionality that maybe doesn't exist on that role by simply bookmarking that particular functionality. You see me bookmarking it here. And then back on my home page, I can actually see my purchase invoice link now exist. So you can customize the screens in a number of ways to get to what you're looking for. And there's a number of predefined roles. There's also a full listing of all functionality by clicking through the admin centers. But I just wanted to show you guys this information and how you can change pretty easily. So let's move on to the next slide, and we're going to talk about reporting in BC. So in BC, reporting is everywhere. It's not just in SmartList or in the reports. You can see KPIs and information here. I can set up queues. I know I have 2 invoices that have to be looked at. I can have my Power BI reports embedded right on my home screen. And then, of course, if you go into a vendor listing, it looks more like a SmartList anyway. But I want to show you that on the other side, you get all this information like right away about your vendors. The same thing exists for customers, items, purchase invoices. It gives you all kinds of information. And then there's the general reporting built into each list. you can, and it'll error if you try to print it without the right filters or anything, it'll tell you exactly what's wrong, like it just did. Otherwise, you're going to go in and you're going to put it in there, put the information in there. I'm going to filter it to a date as it required. And then I want to show you that you can send it to a number of places. So I could send it to a PDF, Word, Excel, or I could schedule it to run at a certain time every day. Now I'm going to cancel out of all of that and go ahead and run this trial balance to the screen so you get some idea of what the reports look like. But bear in mind, I could have sent it directly to a PDF or saved it as an Excel file. You can add more filters if you want to. I'm not going to. But you see here, it's printing directly to my screen, and it's using kind of interesting print functionality. So I could send it to a printer. I could, again, save it to a PDF kind of from right here. So the reporting is very well built out, but you can also customize reporting in other areas of BC. Do be sure that the report doesn't exist naturally before you go building one out. GP reporting is a little more old school. Again, I don't want to bash GP because I'm a huge fan. The reporting in GP exists in the reports area. These are our report writer reports. They don't really go out to Excel very well, anything like that, but you can print them to the screen and print them on PDF and paper, just like, and I'm printing the same report, an AP trial balance here. But this is what it looks like in GP. Now, GP also has smart lists that you can deploy for really good reporting, and you can actually put an Excel refreshable smart list for the trial balance out there with Dynamics GP. How about extras? So GP is a wonderful product, but BC has some other functionality that I consider awesome and worth mentioning. One is I can get to a number of places and things in my Outlook, because BC is highly integrated with the other Office products, Excel, Word, your Outlook. So I can be in I can be in Outlook and I can see BC information for a customer. I can kick off transactions. I can do change of addresses. I get an email from a customer, their address is changed. Boom, I can kind of open up that functionality in Outlook. Really cool. But there's also the ability to edit transactions in Excel. Now, you're not seeing the beginning of this transaction, but I decided to open it in Excel and edit it here, add a couple of lines to an existing transaction, and then push it up to BC using the functionality you see there on the right of the screen. And then I'm going to open it up in BC, and you can actually see that line pop in there when I refresh. So again, BC is highly integrated with Excel and other products. Now, GP, you can integrate from Excel into GP with some products like Integration Manager or Smart Connect. So they're somewhat comparable there. The other thing about BC is it's already ready to go with Power Apps, Power BI, Power Automate for approvals. Things are just easier with BC because it was built out to work with these products. Now, you can get Power BI reporting in GP. You can use Power Apps with GP and some other things. A lot of ISV products are using those now for some of their functionality. And changes are always being made to make Power Apps and Power Automate and Power BI more useful with an on-premise solution such as Dynamics GP. This is the end of our presentation for today. I hope you guys have written down your questions and we're ready to talk through it. But the good and the bad, I'm a diehard GP fanatic, but I am falling in love with Business Central. The functionality is so updated. It's so much easier to email, so much easier in a lot of areas in BC. I love the control through the Office products. I love the insights on my homepage. There's a lot of AI built into BC that helps you do your job. I don't necessarily like the lack of control, such as being able to get into SQL and fix data. Customized reporting is a little bit more difficult because in GP, I can simply write a SQL view and deploy it. I don't like how you make backups and things like that. So there's some pieces to it that I'm not a huge fan of. But all in all, GP and BC, somewhat comparable, but completely different products. And once again, I'm Jo deRuiter. Looking forward to answering your questions next. Thank you. Hi, guys. I think I've done a pretty good job answering questions in the chat box, but if you have any other questions, I'm here to answer them. So just let me know. No, that Outlook screenshot you saw was my on-premise Outlook. So it just connects back in the background in the Dataverse. No, I am not seeing any particular industries that are a better fit for BC than GP because BC is so extremely configurable, much like GP is. So it can translate to pretty much any industry. With invoice importing, are you talking about attaching invoices or are you talking about just entering invoices? Because if you're just entering invoices, it has that connector to Excel that's pretty easy to use and upload tons of data, including invoices. So I really haven't found a need for Integration Manager or any other connector with what I've been doing out of the box with BC. So you can integrate, that's just built into BC. Thanks, Kelly. Yes, there's a much different approach to BC, Gerald, than there is with GP. With BC, the configurations are different. The order in which you need to configure is different. So it's a completely different implementation approach because so much has to be decided before you start configuring, and then the configurations have to be done in a certain order. I'm trying to do a presentation in the future on implementing BC. Oh, I'm sorry, Liz. I'm not repeating the question. Do they both have the same modules? For the most part, BC does not have payroll, but it does have an HR. But you can get an ADP connector, so you can go with ADP or another software service and be able to bring in your ADP journal entries. But the other modules are very much similar. It has a manufacturing module. It has jobs. It has, kind of a built-in job costing product, which GP doesn't have out of the box. Will my presentation deck be available? I do believe so. I think they're recording all of these and you can watch the recording later. And Paul, does BC allow you to use non-Microsoft apps? You can use different products other than Microsoft 365, but it's obviously much better and easier with Microsoft products. Josh, my specific example is entering and purchasing transactions from a separate application via Integration Manager. Integration Manager won't work with BC, but you can build out integrations with Smart Connect using their API connector, and then there's a couple of out-of-the-box API connectors that you might be able to use. And again, if you can get your data from the other product into an Excel sheet, you can use that to upload. And Ruth, can you edit your distributions in BC as you can in GP? Not as easy. Distributions in BC have to do with posting groups. Now you can set up tons of posting groups and then choose the posting group that you want to use, but you don't go to distributions the way you do in GP. Great answer to Power Automate, Sean. Thank you. Eric, create and copy a company easier in BC versus GP is a more technical job. That's true. You can create and copy companies much easier in BC. And Gerald, how is customization creating new reports and forms like GP Dexterity? Well, I haven't found a need to do any kind of custom reporting yet. You will find in certain screens, it doesn't have all you would want. So you can go to personalize and pull in the fields that you need. So I haven't needed to do a whole lot of customization in reports and forms necessarily. Thanks, Mary. Yes, Smart Connect works with BC. I've got 3 minutes left in Q&A, so chat out fast and I'll do my best to answer any questions as quickly as possible. I think that might be it. I hope I got everybody's questions answered. Do let me know if I missed anything, and this recording should be available later. And I'm looking forward to doing more BC presentations for DynamicsCon community. Thanks everyone for your time.